real, like I'm as free market as a guy can get. I want the best people building the best products, and I want everyone to be able to compete. But in that case, I would never own a Huawei or a ZTE or anything else.
On a consumer level, what were they doing with those phones? Like, if they had imported them to the United States, if they didn't have that ban, what would have been the issue?
Getting access to, any number of people that the Chinese really want access to everybody. But you could start at the topical level of just saying, getting Joe Rogan to use a ZTE would be, that would be my wet dream as a guy who used to do this work back in the day, because you're talking to the president or you're talking to this guy or that guy. And I can build out a network of understanding who you're in contact with, who you're talking to, what's being talked about, but then also finding out, this person's phone number and now doing a deep dive on there. So it's really about, getting all of that data and constructing an analyst notebook, essentially outline of who's talking to who do we need to implant. And but it's for business as well. Like they're really trying to go, they would want this in the hands of somebody who's in charge of a business because they want their IP. They would want this in soldiers' hands so they would know deployment dates or who's going where and who's doing what. They want this in routers because routers are usually the most unpatched piece of technology in that you're not, especially, these days they're more automated patching. But back in the day, like you had to manually update a router. And if you didn't, well, then you had potential exploits that were sitting on that router where I could gain access to the router in your home, or I could gain access to a BGP router, which is like a border gateway, which is moving all of the internet data, or I could get access to a microwave terminal. If you look at a cell phone, they've got the microwave terminals on there that are sending information in between them. If those are Chinese parts that are either being used for the processing, the CPU, or the physical infrastructure of that, the products that they were putting out would give me direct access to the information that's being passed on those terminals. So you're getting, system level, root level access through machinery, through communication devices, and through things like routers, where you can know everything you want to know about your enemy.
Wow. And so as far as today's technology, I see you use an Android phone.
Mm-hmm.
Like, is there a phone that is more secure or a platform that is more secure?
It all depends. Like, I always take this from Thomas Sowell. There are no answers. There are only trade-offs. So there's like, the way to answer that question would be is like, who are you? What are you trying to do with your life? What are you talking about on your phone? What are you doing on your phone? Most of these phones, if you're just an average everyday citizen who's just going about your job, the phones today are pretty secure, especially versus a few years ago. If you're a reporter, now the nexus is, do you trust the government and do you trust Apple? If you trust the government, you trust Apple, then Apple's probably your best bet for using